Hi guys, I'm just going to be a couple minutes.
Okay.
In person, what can we do? So I didn't want to have a super long class today because I'm home because I have to be close to Burlington where my parents live because my mom's in the hospital. She's fine, but I just need to be close in case they need me to drive um my mom home. So I couldn't come in. So I just wanted to go over a couple of things. I'm just going to pull up, I am going to pull up my Econestoga and show you guys some stuff. Um, okay, one moment. I'm just going to get rid of this. Okay, so I've pulled up Econestoga and I wanted to go over a couple of things. In the upcoming group project, um, it talks about in the directions, it talks about selecting a health education topic and a patient education topic or program. And then it wants you to develop written communication tools and resources for the patient education program. And it asks you to use information from class lectures and supplemental materials. So, for instance, you can make a LinkedIn information post or a blog post of 2 paragraphs or a media release or a brochure. And then it wants you to identify 2 prospective funders for your program. So, who could possibly be funding this project? So, it could be, um, the Ministry of Health in Ontario, or it could be um, Ontario Health, it could be a hospital, it could be an association. So if it's the Canadian Dental Association, if you're doing something dental related, something like that. So you could um, identify two possible funders for your program. And then it wants you to present the written communication tools and resources in class. And it should be about a 20 to 25-minute presentation. And the group will also present their planning, writing, and editing proofreading strategies that were used in the completion of the written materials. And then, of course, at the end, the next part of the project is to submit a reflection on communication and teamwork skills. So there's a couple of modules that goes over a couple of these different written communication tools that you can use. And I wanted to go over those because we're, I think, a class behind still. So I wanted to go over those a little bit and just some of the stuff that we've maybe missed in the last couple of weeks. Excuse me. Okay, so that's the group project. Has everyone gotten their groups in? Looks like I have 5 groups. I'm thinking maybe not everyone has a group. No, it doesn't look like everyone's got a group. If you haven't submitted your groups to me, then if there's people that are left over that don't have a group, I'll either add them to an existing group or I will make a new group. So if you can have your group information into me today, by the end of the day today, or else I'll just sort of make up the groups because there's still a few people that are missing. So hopefully that sounds okay. Any questions so far about that stuff? It's pretty straightforward.
Yes.
Thanks, Drew. Okay, let me go back. I'm just going to look and see in our content what we need to go over, and then I'll share my screen. I think we ended off last week. We had been doing our cover letters and our LinkedIn profiles, and then I touched a little bit on writing for social media and email. I didn't quite finish that, so I thought what I could do is go over that a little bit, and that was, oops, week 9, I believe. Yes, week 9. So I'm going to share. And I'll go over that a little bit. Apparently, there we go. So you should be able to see my PowerPoint. And let's see what we have here. Okay. So this is our week 9. And I think I went over the social media stuff. This link to this TED Talk is really good. And I think we watched a little bit of that about social media as a space. I think we went through some of this stuff. Oh, so this here is a link to LinkedIn on content development and stuff that you can use in your LinkedIn. So just some videos, and I won't share them. I won't play them right now, but harnessing profile optimization, making the best of your profile, things that'll help you advertise on LinkedIn. And this is all service providers. And then this one's a good one, 30 post ideas and examples for LinkedIn. So when you're working in your career and you're managing a center or a clinic or something like that, this kind of stuff will really help you if you're if you want to get the word out about your clinic, or you want to advertise, or you want to be putting like really thoughtful posts on LinkedIn, if you want to either find a job and you want to advertise you as a person that, you know, you're looking for work, or you're in a clinic and you have a job and you're working and you want to post really thoughtful posts and information on LinkedIn to get customers or just to get information out there. These are some really good ideas to maximize your service providing stuff. So that's a good link. Let me see. Oops. Let me move this out of the way. So writing for social media. What else can we look at here? There's a whole bunch of links on week 9 about healthcare marketing, writing for LinkedIn, the TED Talks, and then writing emails and stuff. So there's a bunch of links there. But let's go back to the slideshow. I'm just going to move this over here. Let's see what else I can look at. So when you're looking at your social media, and we talked about a little bit, you know, what kind of social media groups are you going to be a part of? You know, I'm thinking for Facebook, for instance. What, you know, if you're on Facebook, what kind of groups are you going to follow? So I think we talked about different associations. You know, if you're following an association like the Canadian Dental Association, or you know, whatever field you're in, you're following that association, or you know, the government funder that's funding your center, etc. And you want to put posts up to, you know, have a presence on social media. Sorry, that was my doggy. You need to have some guidelines. So here's some guidelines about posts for social media. So you want to keep your headlines and paragraphs short. You want to keep it simple. When you're using fonts, you can use capitals and bold and italics, stuff like that for emphasis, and use of images. So you might want to use images for interest, but they have to be relevant to what you're talking about, obviously. And then there's a couple of links here that will help you with writing for social media that I would suggest going to. How to write educational content. And writing for social media tips through Hootsuite. And the project, you wouldn't necessarily be writing you know, social media posts, but if you're writing a LinkedIn blog or blogger, one or two paragraphs, these might actually help these posts, professional posts for your career.
There might be some connectivity
For you.
issue from your side, ma'am. We can't hear you properly.
Can't.
The audio is breaking.
Oh, is it? Okay. I think my oops, my internet might be breaking up a little bit. Can you hear me okay right now?
Yes, yes, it is.
It unfroze. So I think I was freezing there a little bit. Okay. Let's carry on. Yeah, I think I'm breaking up again. I'm frozen.
No, it works just fine.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. It's just I'm clicking around and I can't switch screens. Well, just give me a second. Just give me a second. My screen's frozen, so I'm just trying to
Close unnecessary program in order to free RAM.
that's what I'm doing, but it's not letting me, so I'm just give me a minute.
Okay.
Boy. I might have to shut down and re-enter. So if I disappear, I'll be right back. Okay.
Sure, it would be fine.
Okay, I'll be right back. Okay, ma'am. Okay, I'm back. I don't know why that happened. This is a brand new computer. Maybe I got a shitty computer. Oh, goodness me. Okay, let's get back to where I was. Sorry if I lose you again. I think I need a new router, to be honest. So I have one, but I just have to set it up. So sorry about that. There's my video. All right, so let's see if I can get back to where we were, sharing screens and stuff. Okay, let's see if I can get to where I was. Here we go. All right. Okay. Now, what was I talking about? Okay, I was trying to get back to the PowerPoint. So just let me see if I can start the PowerPoint. Oh, there we go. And I'm just going to share my screen for the PowerPoint. There we go. Okay. Sorry about that. Okay. So here we are. This is all the stuff I went over. Oh, and this is just a slide talking about considering your audience, consider your words and perspectives. What's the tone of your writing? Consider the format and the platform. So, you know, if you're um, doing a bunch of research, you don't want to do necessarily, you probably do a research article and not necessarily a blog post for that, you know, so you have to look at your audience, talk about the headlines and the simplicity and clarity and stuff like that. when we're looking at some examples of types of educational and information content from organizations and individuals, if we're looking at different places, what content and audience is the focus of the posting, and then what content guidelines did the organization or individual follow, which encourage you to read the article. So if you look at different organizations, health or individual healthcare or allied health providers, if you go to these websites or these LinkedIn sites, you can see the kind of stuff that they might be posting. If we look at, say, Grand River Hospital, and we go to that site, let's see if I can get there and share it. If I go to LinkedIn, and I'll share this in a second to make sure you can see it. Sign in. Okay, anyway, LinkedIn's giving me a pain in the butt, so I'm not going to do that. If I go to any of those sites on LinkedIn, it'll give you an idea of the kind of posts that they put up. And you can take a look at that. So I'm not going to go over that. I'm afraid my computer's going to go funny again, so I don't want to go to too many sites. But you can go to these sites and check out the kind of content they're posting and see the style of writing and what they're saying, the length of their messages, and what they're talking about. And then professional email writing. I don't think I went over this too much. I think that a lot of you come from either, if you didn't work in your fields when you graduated, you probably had placements. And so you're probably writing professional emails at some level before you came to Canada. So just a quick review of the types of emails and professional writing. So when you're writing emails, you have to think of who you're writing it to. What's your audience? Are you sending emails to employees of yours or your supervisor? Are you sending an email across the organization? Are you sending it to clients or patients, other organizations or healthcare providers, or other stakeholders, or are you sending emails to the funder, the person that's funding your organization? The news, are you sending emails to other businesses that are that have an effect on your services? Like, you could be writing to the city of Hamilton or whatever city you're in, the city of Kitchener, Waterloo. And then what are your topics and subjects? So these are the things you have to think about. Are you just sharing information? Or are you sharing, are you educating someone on something, giving information that way? Are you thanking them for something? Are you idea sharing? Or are you planning? Are you sending time sensitive information or other? So you have to think of these, the audience and the topics, when you're writing a professional email, because it'll set the tone of the kind of email you're writing. It'll affect the length of it, the formality of it, stuff like that. So what writing strategies do you use in emails? Well, you have to look again at the format, the length of the message. Are you copying anybody in the message or blind copying anybody in the message? What's your spelling and grammar like? So how are you going to check that? And other things. So what other things can you think of in an email? So what other writing strategies? So do you have a professional signature on your email? Are you using that? What is your, how are you signing? How are you saying hello? How are you saying goodbye? So are you saying dear so and so, or and how are you signing out? So are you saying sincerely or yours truly at the end? So what are your strategies? This is a really good video about email etiquette that I urge you to watch. He talks about a lot of really good strategies for emails. So I'm not going to play it because I'm worried about my computer crashing, but I strongly suggest you watch this video. And then there is a small group exercise that I'm going to skip, but it's just a practice writing. And this will tie into an upcoming assignment that's about responding an email or a letter responding to a client or patient complaint. So this ties into that. So want to go over this and start to think, and you want to email the professor, for instance. This is just a scenario. Write a brief email to the professor and use the email and writing guidelines from the course. So this is just an exercise that I should do in class, but we're not in class. So just keep this in mind, because the next, like I said, the next assignment is writing an email in response to an email you've received. So just keep this in mind. I'll go over that assignment soon too. And then I'll go over the group project again. But I did want to just go over some of that stuff from week 9 quickly. And then I want to go into week 10 as well and see what's going on there. So just let me close some of this stuff. Okay. I'll share my screen in a second. So the next module is week 10, and I'm just going to share that PowerPoint. And we'll go over that. Okay. All right, so this is week 10. And I'll go over this quickly. So one of the options, oh, and this is a good question. The group contract. So you should have your group contract into me hopefully by the end of today, if you don't have it in already. I think I had a due date on that, and I think that some of you got it in. But you need to put your group work together, your group contract together, so I know who's in your group and how you're going to be filling out that group contract. And I'll go over that in a minute. There's quite a few different spots that you have to fill in. It's pretty straightforward, but I'll go over that in a minute. But something to think of: what healthcare education information articles have you noticed in the past week on social media and in the media? So as managers and supervisors and people that will be running clinics and services in healthcare, it's something to really get used to while you're in Canada and Waterloo and Kitchener, wherever you are, to start noticing the kind of articles that are popping up in the media and in social media that are relevant to the field that you're getting into. So it's good to get into the habit of recognizing these and seeing what's trending and what's out there, and what's going on in the news, what's going on in social media, what information is going around. In different fields, there will be different journals and different research that's trending and stuff. So it's good to keep an eye on what's going on in social media. And then when you're thinking about writing for the media, so sometimes in your roles, when you're graduated from this and you're in your roles, you might have to write for the media. So you might have to do written pieces for the media depending on what you're doing. So we're going to go over, well, what types of information is written for the media in healthcare. um, these are content topics, so frequent things. So a lot of the times you're hearing about celebrations and good news. You're hearing patient stories, information about fundraising, either like fundraising campaigns that are going on and fundraising goals, or you're talking about fundraising that's happened, and how successful you've been in that fundraising. Um, Organizational news. So if you're working for a specific organization, you might be responsible for writing little news blogs or little news updates about the organization to keep people up to date on what's going on in your organization. You might be writing about health education and research that's going on within your organization, or you might want to comment on something that is relevant to what you're doing. You might want to talk about events in the community or events that you're responsible for in your organization, and new programs that you have going on in your organization. Bad news stories, you might want to comment on bad news stories, or talk about bad news stories coming out of your organization. If you've had layoffs or you've had to shut down a program, or something like that. Information sharing, for instance, for example, the COVID-19 pandemic, sharing information about that. And there's other content too. But when you're thinking about when you're in an organization and you're in your roles, these are the kind of things that'll come up often, and things that you want to post about to just keep everyone in the loop on what's going on in your organization, but also to bring attention to your organization. Um, and this is one of the things from our group project coming up. It talks about, you can write a 2-paragraph blog post, or you can write a media release. There's different options for the kind of information that you'll write for your group project, and one of them is a media release. And we use media releases to announce something. So usually, in my experience, we've written media releases to let people know about a new program that we're starting, or a new event, or something that you want in the media, that you want people to mention in the news. So if your organization has recently opened up a new location in a new city with new programs, you can put out a media release about that, about when they're opening, who the funders are, when the open, if there's an open house or a celebration or something, a formal opening of the organization with a ribbon cutting or something, you would use a media release for that. And it's basically an announcement that's formally written and sent into the media. So you'd send it into the news, or you'd send it into the radio, or any news organizations, and it's an information sheet for them, um, giving them the heads up that this is happening, so that the media, be it the news or the radio, whatever, TV news or radio, that they can pick it up and use it as one of their stories. So it's basically a heads up to them, and then they can decide whether they want to use it in their news report or an upcoming news report or media release, like in a newspaper or something. When you're writing a media release, you always should have an engaging headline. So it's usually on one page, and you would have an engaging headline. So a headline to catch the reader's attention, because you want whoever you're sending this to, if you're sending this to the newspaper or radio or TV station, you want whoever's receiving it to think, oh, that's an interesting topic. Maybe we can cover this on the news tonight. Or we can put this in an article or something in the newspaper, because it sounds like an interesting topic. And then you clearly state the topic in the headline. And make it stand out, and use action verbs. And then first paragraph. So you would want to, before beginning any press release, you would need to identify the city, the province, and the date to make sure that the reader can identify the timeliness and relevance of the report or of the release. So you would usually place this in brackets and followed immediately by the first paragraph, which should be to the point and communicate the newsworthy announcement. So the first paragraph is typically 1 to 2 sentences and answers the who, what, when, where, why, and how. So you should just basically clear and concise answer those questions. It should be written as facts and focus on why it's important. It should be useful and valuable to the audience. While it's not a hard and fast rule, answering these questions up front allows the reader to fully understand what the press release is about. So it would give you the all the who, what, when, where, and why, and how, and the person doesn't have to go searching for that information. You want to give it to them right there in the first paragraph. And then the rest of the media release is the remaining body copy. So the remaining paragraphs. So there could be 2, 3, 4 paragraphs or more, but you want to keep it short and concise. The second paragraph expands on the first paragraph and provides additional background information. It acts as the foundation for the rest of the press release and includes any 5 W's and 1 H. So who, what, where, when, and why, and how. Anything that wasn't explained in the first paragraph, you can expand on in the second paragraph. In the third and fourth paragraphs, you can include additional and supporting information. The third paragraph is a great spot to place any information for a doctor, executive, or internal stakeholder quote. So if, for instance, you're putting out a press release about a new program or service that's starting at your organization, you can put a quote from an executive or a doctor in this paragraph to just show interest and show that there's you're not just writing a bunch of information, that you're actually putting a quote there that then the media can use in their information. You can add highlights or break down the details with bullet points in these paragraphs if you want to. Oops. You can include a summary in the final paragraph and clear call to action. So a call to action is, what would you like the reader to do? So that should identify the next steps that the audience needs to take or where they can find more information. So if it's a program or service that's opening, you can put, contact information to get more information. So if the news person or the newspaper person wants to call to get more information, if they want to write an article about it, they have information somewhere where they can find more information. Or if it's an event, so if you have like an opening, if you're opening a new building or you're opening a new program, you can invite them to that opening and give them the event information. Um, and then the last part is the about your organization. So you can put a little blurb about your organization. So about us. So you can you can include your organization contact information for sure. So the media can reach your organization quickly and follow up on anything they want to question. So that's basically a release looks like. If we go to the link, ends up, there we go. So here's the link, how to write an effective press release. So basically, this is a blog post, and it gives you a little bit more information in this blog post about writing a press release. And it should give you, I think at the end, it gives you an actual example, but here's some newsworthy topics that you could talk about in a media release, and then how to write one. So here's an example. So here is the compelling headline, what you put there, and then here, number 2 is the date and where it is, the city and date. And then you've got your information, some bullets and such. And then at the number 4 would be a little bit of information about your organization, contact information, and that's sort of in a one page. If you're writing this media release, you would have it up at the top. You would have for immediate release and the date. And then you would have your, this would be your letterhead for your organization. So you would send it on your letterhead. And so now you can see you've got this one page document, and it's basically giving anybody in the media information about what's going on, and then they can decide whether to pick it up and write an article about it or do an interview with you about it, and use that. So that's one of the possible things that you can write for the group project. And then in the group project, you would present, this is our media release, and you could talk about the media release, what's included in it, and then follow the rest of the directions in the group project. Here's some best practices for writing that. It gives you some stuff that we went over in the slides, but also other things. Use double spacing, write in the first person, include your company, hospital, organization, etc. And it gives you some more information. And it goes on and on and on. So this is a really good site if you do decide to do a press release for your project. So that's a really good resource. I am going to go back to our PowerPoint. Oops. I'm just going to make sure it's shared. There we go. All right. So if you do decide to do a media release, and here's another sample, just make sure that you go to those resources or, do some research on it to make sure that you're covering all of that stuff. Let's put that there. Okay. We're not going to do the group activity, but a good exercise if we do go to this this actual sample. If you look at a sample, look at the introductory paragraph and have they gone over the 5 W's and the 1 H, so the who, what, where, when, and why, and how. What's the call to action? So at the bottom, are they asking you to, inviting them to call you for more information, or are they inviting you to an event? What's the call to action? And contact info. So you can see that these are the most important press release. Sorry, I'm going to go back. Just give me 1 second. And I'm going to pull up that sample. Give me 1 moment. Let's see if I can find that sample. Okay, we'll share this. So here's a sample of a news release. And it's an online one. But you can see it's put on by the government of Ontario up here. And it says this is a news release. And then this is your headline: Ontario doing even more to grow its healthcare workforce. Province breaking down barriers to hire more doctors and nurses to connect people to care close to home. And it's a fairly big news release because there's a table of contents. So it is quite long, but you can see that you've got your media contacts. So if the media wants to contact someone at the organization, here's who they're contacting. It's shareable. And then here it says Kitchener. The date is up here. And it talks about the Ontario government. So that's the WHO is creating new pathways. And so it goes into who, what, where, when, why, and how, and usually in the first paragraph. And then you can see they've got a quote here. Starting today, new as of right rules come into effect. So when is it happening? So they're just talking a little bit more about when it's happening and what's happening. And then other things that are being launched, new innovative initiatives, a bunch of stuff here with links. So they've provided links for them. A little bit of information that supports what they're talking about. And then they've added some quick facts with links about what's going on. And then at the bottom, there's some quotes, some people that are supporting this initiative. So it gives you, the OMA president, the CEO of Ontario College of Physicians, the CEO of Home Care Ontario. So these people are actually really supporting the initiative, and you can see some quotes. So these quotes could be used in the news article if somebody picks it up to put it in the news. And then some more resources and related topics. So you can see that this is a really well written, with all these links, information. And so this is a really good example of a news release. So if you were to do a news release for your group project, this is how it should look. It should have this depth of content in it, maybe some quotes, and the paragraph should be written like this. You don't have to put what you're also launching, just focus on one thing that you're launching. But then you might have other successful programs that you've introduced to grow, whatever you're talking about. And then maybe some history at the bottom. and then, maybe links to contact information, stuff like that. So that's a really good example of a news release. So I wanted to show you that. Let me see. I'm also going to share a little bit of information. Let's see. Okay, let me share the PowerPoint again. Okay, so that's a news release. And so again, for the group project, if you were to do a information, you could include in your group presentation, but you would follow up with the media. So once your media release has been sent to an organization, now what do you do? Well, you follow up with the media to see if they have any questions, or if it's an event, if they're going to attend. So you would do a follow-up. For smaller media outlets like local newspapers, you might need to provide a photo. With the media releases, they might not be able to send staff to your event or follow up with questions. So if you do have an event and you want them to cover it, then you might want to send a picture so that they can include that. Consider the role of the organization's spokesperson. So, what's the role of the spokesperson in the organization? If you're the spokesperson, remember that you don't need to answer the questions of the media directly if it's information that's confidential or not able to be released yet. So if they do call and ask for you and you're the person that's leading the initiative, then there's some stuff that you don't have to give to the media if you don't want to. You would just basically thank the media for the question and provide the information you're able to provide at the time. Remembering the context of the information and message you provide is important. So, yeah, if they're asking questions of stuff that isn't available for the public yet, then you would just, let them know that's not available yet. And, you can provide it when it's available at another time. So that's just following up with media at the end. And then writing the media release for the group project. So if you're writing a media release for the group project, you would need to follow all of those things. Group contract approval meetings and project work on media release. Okay, so let's go over, I'm gonna go over the group project again. Go to it. I'm gonna go back to week 9 and go to the group project. Okay, so let's go down to the directions. So, so for your group project, you're going to develop written communication tools and resources for the patient education program from class lectures and supplemental materials. Okay, so you are going to, so I was saying that you had to pick one, but now I'm seeing that you actually have to do each of these. So, which is doable because you've got groups of 6 people and 5 people. So that's a lot of people. So you're going to have to do each of these. So you're going to have a blog post of 2 paragraphs. So you can divide this up between members. So if you have 6 people, for instance, you can have 2 people working on your LinkedIn blog post, which is 2 paragraphs. And that's the stuff that we went over in week 9. A media release. So 2 people can put together a media release. And then maybe 2 people can work on a brochure. And then, in the brochure, you would identify 2 funders for your program. So that's part of the brochure. And we're going to go over brochures, I think, next class, but you can work ahead if you want to work on your presentation ahead of time. So I thought you just had to pick one of these, but no, you have to do each of these, which makes more sense because with a 20-minute presentation and 6 people, that makes more sense that you have to have one of each of these. So keep that in mind. There is the links and references that you can look blog post writing or writing posts on LinkedIn, and it's about writing a brochure in Canva. And I think some of you might have done that before. I am going to go back to content. So week 9 is the social media stuff. So that would give you an idea about writing for LinkedIn, etc. Week 10, we talk about the media releases. And then I think in week 11, yes, in week 11, we have writing a patient brochure and making a trifold brochure on Canva. So it talks about doing that. So we'll talk about that next week. And then right back to week 10. Here's media writing for healthcare resource, sample ministry, health media release. So all the information's there. So you can start working on your group projects. So in the assignment section, there is a group project contract. Okay, and that's due by the end of today. If I just go back again, sorry. If I go back again to where we were in week 9, at the bottom here, there's a group project contract that you can click on, and this is where you're going to upload your
Screen
group.
is frozen.
Is it frozen?
See, yeah, we cannot see what you are scrolling through.
Okay. Let me reshare.
Yes, please.
Okay, here we go. So at the bottom of week 9, you'll see the group project. That's the information. The team contract, that's the actual document, and the group project contract assignment, this is where you're going to submit it. So for each person, or for each group, sorry, you're going to have a team contract. So if you click on team contract, it's going to ask for your team name, your members, the date and the topic. And then there's some questions. So what are the team goals for the project? What do you want to accomplish? What skills do you want to develop? The expectations, what do you expect of one another? That's a really important one to go over. So in regard to attendance at meetings, participation, communication, quality of work, you need to be all on the same page as to what your expectations are as a group and what responsibility does each group member have. So it's important to make sure that each member knows what their responsibility is ahead of time. So there's a section for that. In the team contract, we also have policies and procedures. What rules can we agree on to help us meet our goals and expectations? So you can set some policies and rules there for yourselves. Consequences. So if somebody isn't you know, doing what they're supposed to do, doing their work, what are the consequences of that? So how are you going to address that as a group? And then the rest of the contract is just your team member names. And so that you'll have to throw together for the end of the day. So I'll finish. Actually, if I don't have the, what should I do? Um, there's people that don't have groups. So by the end of the day, if you don't have a group, um, you'll have to put a group together with whoever's left. Um, but if you don't have a group, email me and then I'll try and figure out groups. Um, it's sort of up to you to figure out your own groups, but email me if you're having trouble and I'll see what I can do. I might have to add you to another group or make a new group that includes you. But this team contract should be submitted by the end of the day. If you can get that in, or the end of tomorrow at the very latest, because you have to start working on these. A 20-minute or 25-minute presentation is quite long, so there's quite a lot of information you need to cover. And you know, there's quite a bit of work to do, and it's worth quite a bit too, because it's instead of a final exam, this is your, you know, the big project that's got the most rigorous grading. So make sure you put that effort into it. Are there any questions about the group contract so far, or the groups? No? Okay, so I'm going to leave it there for now. Make sure you go over those week 9 and 10 information and the links, because they'll really help you with your project. But it's something that you need to start very soon, if not right away, getting going on your group project. So just doing little bits at a time so that you're not swamped with it at the last minute. So yeah, if there's no questions, I'll end it there and I'll pick up again on next Monday. And we'll talk a little bit about making that brochure for your presentation. All right.
Okay.
All right.
Okay, ma'am.
Thanks so much, guys. I will talk to you next Monday.
Okay.
Thank you.